available to answer your questions. So the first thing we'll touch upon is this new offering that we have for independent software vendors or ISVs and small organizations within India who are working in the software development space. And we've recently launched this only last month in December. It's called Code for Honor, and we're billing this as Microsoft Solution Excellence Awards for 2014, and we hope that over time this will become an annual competition that exists for small companies, small to medium companies. So what does this Solution Excellence Award require you to do? Code for Honor essentially requires that you submit an app or a solution that has the potential for large-scale impact. And I'll explain a little bit about what kind of solutions those could be. But in addition to impact, we also look at the quality of implementation as well as the target audience that you're trying to reach and the breadth of that target audience. So these are some of the key things that you need to keep in mind if you're planning to take part in Code for Honor, which is going to be a very immense, valuable platform for ISVs to showcase their existing solutions that can be enhanced using emerging technologies like smart devices as well as the cloud, and also eventually over time actually roll it out into the marketplace. So one of the key aspects to keep in mind for the Code for Honor competition is that it's open to companies, not individuals, but open to companies which are less than 8 years old and having less than 200 employees. So one of the key goals that we set for Code for Honor was to try and discover new companies or relatively new companies which have not yet reached a critical mass in which they can be able to get the right set of recognition for their solutions on their own, but need a platform like Code for Honor to be able to give them that. So therefore, very large companies that might have already reached a critical mass in terms of size or in terms of revenue may not necessarily be the right target for this kind of opportunity. The opportunity for Code for Honor is primarily going to be with small and medium companies. And we've defined what we consider to be small and medium companies. So typically a small company would be less than or equal to 50 employees, and a medium company would be in the range of 50 to 200 employees. Now, the categories in which you can potentially submit an entry for Code for Honor are as follows. We're looking for large enterprise solutions. We're looking for micro, small, and medium enterprise solutions. And there could be certain cases where a solution is applicable both for a micro, small, medium kind of enterprise as well as for a large enterprise. But the key difference that we will look at when it comes to solutions for micro, small, and medium enterprises is that the solution should be very cost effective, easy to deploy, easy to maintain, and should be should essentially cover all the key requirements that a micro, small, or medium enterprise requires. But large enterprises, on the other hand, tend to have a lot more complexities in business logic. So therefore, the large enterprise solution may not necessarily be the most cost effective. It might be relatively expensive compared to the MSME solution. It might have a lot more complicated features, and it could potentially also have a higher total cost of ownership. So when it comes to the large enterprise solution, the ability to handle multiple geographies, very complex business rules, and typically all the traits that define a large enterprise are going to be key to making a good solution in that space. Whereas with MSME, the focus will be on simplicity, the focus will be on being able to make it easy to deploy, easy to train, and so on and so forth. The next set of categories are government enablement solutions, and I'll explain a little bit about what we mean here. So typically, if you think of the governments, both the state governments as well as central government, they have a bunch of ministries within them, and these ministries occasionally need to talk to each other as well as need to talk to associated departments that might be related to the government. So for example, let's say the Home Ministry might need to talk to the police, might need to talk to the Finance Ministry, may need to talk to various other associated departments. And to facilitate all these various not only communication but also workflows that occur between various government entities, IT is a very critical entity. It could also include things related to women's security, for example, or it could include things related to services that are provided, for example, in the case of, let's say, an Aadhaar card, or in the case of the passport office, or in the case of even rail transport like IRCTC and so on. So citizen services could encompass a wide range of these kinds of solutions. The final category is social good, and there might be some overlap between solutions that are developed for social good as well as citizen services, because in effect any solution that is developed for citizen services will in effect also be relevant for social good. But the social good category has an additional angle associated with it, and that is these solutions should use open government data. And I'll explain a little bit about what I mean by open government data. The National Informatics Center, NIC, has launched a data portal for India, which encompasses over 5,000 data sets that have been made available by the government of India for use by app builders as well as for use by data analysts and researchers and so on. Now this is a humongous amount of data, over 5,000 different data sets. And if you go to the website data.gov.in, you can actually see those data sets yourself. Many of them are available in formats like Excel and so on that are easily consumable within your solution. Now making the data set available is one aspect of the story, but using that data in a manner that is beneficial for social good and making that data or unleashing the potential of that data is really what we are looking forward to seeing from ISVs that take part in this fifth category. Now, if you want to check out data.gov.in, we strongly encourage you doing that, and we also have a micro site within the data.gov.in portal related to Code for HANA, which has additional resources about how you could potentially come up with solutions for social good using the variety of data sets that are available over there. So do take a look at that also. So having told you about the 5 categories that are available for organizations to take part in the Code for Honor contest, let's go into some of the phases that the contest would comprise of. So the first phase, which is currently ongoing, is the project synopsis phase. So you typically register your company and then submit a project synopsis or a solution synopsis as we call it. And this stage is currently ongoing till the end of January. So for the months of December and January, we're accepting the solution synopsis from companies that intend to participate in this competition. And then the next phase after that will be the solution detail phase. And in the solution detail phase, we'll first typically ask participants to create a video presentation of the solution. So you could shoot a video using a normal handycam or even a webcam. The video should comprise some aspects of your solution so that we know that there are some modules at least that have been implemented. We know that you may not be able to do an entire demo because the time frame that will be given you for the video would typically be around 10 minutes or so. So we don't expect a complete end-to-end demonstration, but we definitely expect some aspects of the solution to be demonstrated. And we expect to hear your team talking about the solution. or the solution that is being envisaged. And subsequent to that, there will be telephonic interviews during which we will ask specific questions related to how you went about building the solution, what the technical architecture looks like, how you intend to actually deploy the solution in real life, what are the challenges that you anticipate, and what your marketing model would be in terms of taking this solution to market. All this will typically happen in the February-March timeframe. Once that phase is over, the qualifiers from the solution detail phase will move into the zonal finals. And we plan to have the zonal finals in anywhere between 3 to 6 cities. This will happen in the month of April. And at the zonal finals, we expect the teams that qualify for the zonal finals to actually deliver in-person presentations. So they need to be there physically present at the zonal finals and deliver in-person presentations to juries that will comprise both external members from the industry, from NGOs, from the government, and so on, as well as potentially one jury panelist from Microsoft. So this will happen in the month of April. And then there will be a little bit of a gap to enable the qualifiers from the zonal finals to further work on their solutions before we reach the national finals in June. Again, at the national finals, the teams will be expected to present to a jury of eminent domain and technology specialists before we announce the final winners. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are curious about what the winners would get and why it would make sense for your company to participate in this particular initiative. So we have a wide range of benefits. The benefits for the Solution Excellence Awards in 2014 will be, first of all, divided by the size of the company. So for 4 categories, which is the large enterprise solution, the micro, small, medium enterprise solution, the government enablement solution, and the citizen services solution. For each of these 4 categories, there will be 2 awards, one for small companies, one for medium companies. So that brings us to a total of 8 awards. And in addition, the 9th award, which is independent of the size of the company, is best solution for social good using open government data. So that's how we will end up having 9 awards. So four categories, each having 2 awards, one for small, one for medium companies, and the final award being the special award, best solution for social good using open government data, in which you will need to require to use data.gov.in data sets. All the winning teams, all these 9 winning teams will receive a Code for Honor award. They will also receive access to potential customers, and I think that is one key takeaway for most of the companies that intend to participate, is that they're really looking for potential customers for their solutions. We also intend to set up meaningful mentor relationships with the winning teams, and essentially we are going to be having a panel of industry experts that are going to volunteer their time to coach the winning teams over a period of a few months so that they get the necessary level of expertise that a senior leader from the industry could provide to them. We will also provide winning teams the opportunities to showcase their solution to potential investors who might be interested in the business model that they're proposing along with their solution. There'll also be prize money of 2 lakhs per team and Windows devices, which include a Windows 8 device as well as a Windows Phone device for the winning teams. So that's the entire prize package that is available, and this is applicable for all of the 9 teams that win the awards. In addition, we also will be planning some kinds of incentives for the national finalists who might not be necessarily the winners of these 9 awards, some of them. So there may be some potential consolation prizes that we will also plan. Similarly, for all the folks who have reached the zonal finals, we will also plan some kind of consolation prizes for those teams. The details about all of that will be posted soon on the Code for Honor website. So I encourage all of you who are interested in taking part to take a look at that and register your team as well as submit your solution synopsis well in time so that you have an early start to the entire competition, right from the solution synopsis stage right down to the solution detail stage, which will commence in February and go on into March. And at that point, I will take a pause and check with Aradhana if there are any questions before we move on to some of the opportunities for individual developers. So Aradhana, are there any questions that have come in?
There are few
I
questions.
see a few. Yes,
Yes, you can
yes, I
take
see a
them.
few. So I'm going to quickly take some of them. So Mohammed Shakir has asked a question: how to avoid dependencies on internet for smart client application using ClickOne's technology? So Mohammed, so here's one of the what the question that you asked for is primarily more related to .NET kind of application or a thick client application which you would typically install. And remember that now with the emergence of Windows 8 as well as Windows Phone, typically most of the installations would not really happen using ClickOne's or any kind of not that technology essentially, because those were typically for .NET applications. Now you typically install it directly from the store, or optionally if you're building a line of business application, you could sideload it using enterprise keys that are available for enterprises that want to have an internal application deployed on Windows 8, Windows Phone, and so on and so forth. So the deployment mechanism might essentially change. If you are trying to target your solution to a large number of consumers, typically you would need to go through an internet distribution mechanism, because that's the simplest and easiest way to access a large number of consumers. If on the other hand the users of your application are very targeted, maybe just 3 or 4 people, then in that case you would go through a model wherein you sideload the applications. And there are specific mechanisms that you can follow to sideload a Windows 8 app or a Windows Phone app. For example, if you're a developer and you want to sideload a Windows Phone app onto your phone, Windows Phone, you would typically need to set up a developer account on the Windows Phone Dev Center and then unlock your phone so that it enables you to sideload applications directly, and that then would not require internet, because you could directly put your ZAP file onto your phone. Similar options would also exist for Windows 8, in which you could sideload applications and you could install locally. But I think related to your question, probably more related to a .NET scenario rather than a modern app scenario that would be installed either through the store or be sideloaded. Coming to Asif's question, in the Code for Honor Awards, only companies can take part or freelancers also can take part. So Asif, for the Code for Honor specifically, it is designed for companies. Having said that, however, the next part of my session will cover opportunities that are available for individual developers and freelancers also. So do keep a watch out for some of those opportunities. They will not be part of Code for Honor, because Code for Honor is designed for small and medium companies. But with respect to other opportunities that are available for freelancers and individual developers, just wait after this Q&A session, and in the next 5 minutes or so, we'll be plunging directly into that topic. Rashid has a question about where to apply. The website is codeforhonor.com. So if you go to codeforhonor.com, both the honor can be spelled both in the US as well as in the UK spelling. So whichever way you choose, codeforhonor.com, you should be taken to the right website. The next question Shazad has is, why do we need Windows apps as opposed to desktop apps and mobile websites? Good question, Shazad. So I think some of you who might be working on multiple form factors might wonder that, we've had Win32 applications that have been working on the desktop for quite a while. And similarly, we've also had websites that have been optimized for mobile devices. The kind of are smart enough to detect the screen size, they're smart enough to reorganize their layout and so on. So you might wonder, what's the benefit of having a native Windows modern design kind of app, right? So Shehzad, I think the question that you need to ask yourself is, what are the kind of scenarios, what are the kind of features that your app is going to provide to the end user. If, for example, the solution is primarily informational, wherein most of the content, it's mostly content driven, then in that case, having HTML5 website or having an app that is essentially fairly straightforward makes sense, because then it's only content that is being shown, and the content needs to be organized in a beautiful manner, which you can even do on a mobile website, which is a website which is optimized for mobile devices. However, let's say you had some interactive features that needed to get built in, classic example being a game. In that case, it's a lot more valuable to have a native application so that you can leverage the power of the local graphics processor and so on, especially if you use DirectX and C++ for your Windows app. And remember that you can use DirectX and C++ in a modern Windows app also, and not just in a desktop app. So that could be one scenario. Another scenario could be if you want to leverage all the additional functionality that is built into a modern Windows app. For example, contracts. For those of you who are familiar with the way Windows apps works or modern Windows apps works, they are able to share their data with other apps through what is known as contracts. So for example, you could have an app which is like, let's say, a photo app, which shares images with, let's say, the mail app. And you could actually directly be able to share information from two apps which have actually nothing to do with each other except the fact that they understand that common shared contract. Similarly, if you wanted to do things like notifications, it's a lot easier to build in a notification using a native application, a push notification using a native application compared to a website, because the website is never going to be able to push a notification, let's say, to a live tile until someone actually opens the website, hits the URL, opens the website, right? But with respect to Windows 8 as well as Windows Phone, you have the concept of a live tile, and you can leverage notifications to update the live tile with meaningful information. So for example, if you have a stock ticker app, and the stock ticker app has a live tile, you could potentially show the latest BSE Sensex value every 5 minutes, for example, directly on the live tile without even having to open up the app. So that kind of functionality is not really possible with respect to a standard mobile website or a desktop app. Now, a question about from Asif is whether apps need to be developed only for Windows 8 or for Windows Phone as well. Asif, for the purpose of code, that's a good question. For the purpose of Code for Honor, while the emphasis would be to develop on Windows, the range of technologies that you can use for Code for Honor is very wide. And I'll spend a little bit of time talking about this. For Code for Honor, you could potentially even use non-Microsoft technologies in combination with Microsoft technologies, and that's perfectly acceptable. You could even use hardware solutions in combination with software solutions. That's perfectly acceptable too. All that we require, and of course details are there in the Code for Honor terms and conditions. So if you go to the Code for Honor website and go to the support page, you'll see that there is a link which provides details, terms and conditions. And in that you'll see some of the criteria that are required for the solutions that need to be submitted as part of this initiative. And what we say is essentially that you could use pretty much any solution. It could even be like a legacy solution, a client server architecture. It could even be a website. All that we require is that you consider enhancing that solution to also encompass smart devices, modern devices using the modern UI philosophy, which would imply that you would either create a Windows 8 app or a Windows Phone app over and above your existing solutions. For example, your backend, your database could pretty much remain the same, and you could expose the information through web services that are then consumed by your front end, which could then be a website, which could be a Windows app, Windows 8 app, or Windows Phone app, and so on. All of these options exist. It's up to your creativity about how you go about building your solution. From our perspective, we are not mandating that you do any particular thing other than the fact that the predominant technology that you use should be based on Windows. but you are free to also use additional technologies also. For example, you could potentially have a PHP component. You could potentially have Perl script running in some server somewhere as part of your overall application. All that is fine. So it could be a completely heterogeneous solution as long as at a fundamental level, at a base level, some of the key components are running on Windows, especially the cloud aspect and especially the device aspect. All right, then Praveen asked a question about, I'm an electronics and telecom graduate and I wanted to enter the IT field. I have basic knowledge of C++ and Java. Which course would you recommend to get IT professional knowledge? So, Praveen, this is slightly off topic, but what I would recommend is that to get a sense of what all options you have to be able to ramp up on your skill set, take a look at microsoftvirtualacademy.com, wherein there are a range of free courses that are available, and later on in this session I'll also talk about that. That will help you. These free courses will help you ramp up on various emerging technologies, not just from an app development perspective, but even from an infrastructure perspective. So learning about security, learning about networking, learning about business intelligence, databases, all of that is covered in Microsoft Virtual Academy. And the good news is that it's free for everyone. So anyone who goes to microsoftvirtualacademy.com can start taking the courses that are of interest to them. And I think, Aradhana, with that, I've covered most of the existing questions.
Yes, you have. You can continue with the
Is that
presentation
right?
now. Yes.
All right. So now for those of you who had interest in what are the opportunities available for individual developers or freelancers, I'll move into that topic now.